Your spiritual rank is why they hate you without reason. There are moments in life when you look around and realize that no matter how kind, respectful, or humble you are, some people just don't like you. They avoid you. They mock you. They question your every move. You haven't wronged them. You haven't betrayed them. You haven't even spoken a word to them. Yet their eyes carry contempt, and their energy tells you they've already made a decision about who you are, without ever truly knowing you. And it leaves you wondering, why? Why does their hate seem so personal when you've done nothing to deserve it? Why do you walk into a room and feel like the tension rises, even when you're silent? Why do strangers treat you like a threat, while you've only offered peace? The answer is as spiritual as it is invisible. It lies in something the world doesn't measure, yet the spirit world never overlooks: your spiritual rank. You see, there's a hierarchy beyond the physical. It's not based on titles, money, education, or fame. It's based on light, on authority, on the calling you carry. Some souls have been marked since birth with a spiritual signature, one that speaks loudly in the invisible realm, even if the person themselves hasn't fully awakened to it. These people walk with an unseen mantle. They radiate a presence that unsettles darkness. They command respect from the heavens and provoke hostility from the broken. Spiritual rank isn't something you boast about. In fact, most who carry it have had to endure unbearable seasons of silence, rejection, and pain. But even in those hidden valleys, their essence speaks. It speaks of purpose, of resilience, of divine election. And that's what threatens others. Not because you said something wrong, but because your very existence reveals what they lack. People don't always know why they dislike you, but their spirit does. It recognizes your rank, your light, and your divine authority. And if their own spirit is wounded or lost, it will rebel against yours without a single word being exchanged. This is not a personal war. This is a spiritual collision, a clash between frequencies. And if you don't understand it, you'll waste years trying to fix what was never broken in you. This speech is not for the crowd. It's for the ones who've been isolated without cause, hated without reason, misunderstood despite their purest intentions. It's for the ones who've been carrying a hidden crown while walking through the fire of human rejection. You've been fighting a battle you didn't start because your spirit awakened something that others were trying to keep asleep. Now is the time to understand who you truly are, and why the warfare around you isn't a curse, it's confirmation. You are not being attacked because you're weak. You are being resisted because you are marked. And your spiritual rank is the threat they can't explain. Let's start with what most people never see. There is a structure, a divine structure, beyond the systems of this world, beyond governments, institutions, and social ladders. It is a spiritual hierarchy. And in that hierarchy, your soul holds a rank, a position, and a level of authority that transcends your earthly status. The truth is, you can be unknown to the world and still be feared in the spirit. You can have no followers, no riches, no applause. Yet heaven moves when you pray, and hell trembles when you speak. That is the invisible power of spiritual rank. Most people walk through life trying to climb the physical ladder. They chase degrees, promotions, fame, and favor. They believe influence is earned by performance. But spiritual influence is something else entirely. It is not earned, it is appointed. It's a divine assignment. A mantle that's placed on your soul before you even knew who you were. Long before people clapped for you or criticized you, something eternal recognized you. And once that mantle is placed, the atmosphere begins to respond to you differently, whether you are aware of it or not. Now, here's where it gets uncomfortable. The higher your spiritual rank, the more invisible enemies you will attract. Not because you are harmful, not because you're arrogant, but because your presence threatens systems of darkness that have been comfortably operating around you. You don't have to speak. You don't have to preach. You don't have to fight. Just standing in the room, with your light, your alignment, your calling, is enough to cause tension. Why? Because those around you can feel the weight of who you are in the spirit, even if they don't understand it intellectually. They may call you too much. They may accuse you of thinking you're better, even when you've said nothing to suggest that. They may isolate you, mock you, or treat you as a threat, when all you've done is be yourself. But here's the uncomfortable truth. They aren't reacting to your personality. They're reacting to your position, your spiritual position. You are ranked higher in the spirit than many of those around you, and their unhealed souls can't handle your light. This is the invisible hierarchy. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't require a title. It doesn't always show up in a church or a pulpit. Sometimes, the person scrubbing the floors has more authority in heaven than the one standing on the stage. Sometimes, the quiet one in the back of the room carries more favor than the one leading the meeting. This rank isn't visible to the eyes of flesh, but spirits know it. Demons know it. Heaven knows it. And if you're honest, you've felt it too. You've walked into places and felt resistance before you even opened your mouth. You've entered relationships where people loved you at first, until they sensed they couldn't manipulate you. You've had leaders try to control you, friends try to dim your light, and family members suddenly grow distant, all because something in you made them feel small. Not because you tried to, but because your very essence exposes where they're still hiding, still wounded, still disconnected from their true identity. That's not pride. That's spiritual weight. And those who carry it in silence for a long time. You see, people think spiritual rank is glamorous. They think it means blessings and open doors and miracles on demand. But let me tell you something they don't preach often enough. Spiritual rank is lonely. It is heavy. It comes with rejection, isolation, misunderstanding, and constant spiritual warfare. You don't get to fit in. You don't get to be normal. Because you were never sent here to blend in. You were sent to shift atmospheres, to break strongholds, to change the direction of families, generations, and even nations. You were born to disturb the comfort of darkness, and that will never come without cost. So many of you have been walking through battles you didn't ask for. You've been attacked by people you try to love. You've been betrayed by those you helped. You've been ignored, overlooked, underestimated, and something deep inside you wondered if you were cursed. But let me offer you a new perspective. What if it's not a curse? What if it's confirmation? What if their hatred, their distance, their resistance is not a sign of your failure, but of your elevation? People don't throw stones at things that don't shine. They don't bother tearing down what doesn't threaten them. And make no mistake, spiritual rank is a threat, not because it's evil, but because it exposes evil. It reveals. It cuts through the lies. It convicts. And in a world that thrives on illusion, anyone who carries divine truth will always be seen as dangerous. But here's the good news. You weren't given your rank by people, so people can't take it away. You weren't appointed by a committee. You were appointed by the Creator. Your authority is not up for debate. Your assignment is not subject to votes. You were chosen, set apart, and released into this world with a spiritual weight that no man can measure and no demon can ignore. You may be quiet. You may be broken. You may feel lost at times. But make no mistake, heaven sees you. Hell fears you. And whether the world accepts you or not, you walk in divine authority. So today, I want you to stop explaining yourself to people who were never designed to understand you. Stop trying to shrink to make others comfortable. Stop apologizing for the oil on your life. You didn't ask for it, but you were chosen to carry it. Your spiritual rank is not a flaw. It's not a burden. It's a signal that you are more than what this world can see. You are ranked in realms that eyes cannot perceive and souls cannot deny. And no amount of hate can ever undo that. This is the invisible hierarchy, and it's time you own your place in it. Now that you understand the invisible hierarchy, that divine structure where spiritual rank is assigned, not earned, we must go deeper. Because knowing who you are is one thing, but living as who you are, in a world that resents your very existence, is another battle entirely. It's not just the rank that makes your life difficult. It's the reaction to that rank. The unspoken resentment. The hostility you didn't provoke. The judgment you didn't deserve. The hate you didn't earn. And let me be clear, this hatred is rarely loud at first. It comes in subtle glances, passive-aggressive tones, shallow compliments with sharp undertones. It wears smiles that don't reach the eyes. It shows up in the sudden distance of people who used to embrace you. They don't always speak it, but they feel it. Something about you unnerves them, and they can't explain it, so they attack it. You see, people don't need a reason to resent you when their spirit already recognizes your power. They don't need a logical explanation to feel threatened when something inside them is exposed by your presence alone. What you carry, your light, your clarity, your divine alignment, reveals everything they've tried to hide. That's the unspoken war. That's why some people are offended by your peace. That's why your joy makes them uncomfortable. That's why your consistency triggers their chaos. Because you are a mirror. And not everyone likes what they see when they stand next to you. And it's not that you're perfect. Far from it. You've made mistakes, failed in silence, and cried in hidden places. But through it all, you kept growing. You kept seeking truth. You kept walking through darkness with a light that didn't go out. That's what people don't understand. They think you've had it easy because you don't broadcast your pain. They think you were born favored, not realizing the fire you survived to carry that favor. You didn't wake up spiritually ranked. You were forged through storms, through loss, through betrayals, through nights of questioning your own worth. You were broken open by life. And instead of staying bitter, you let the light in. That's what they hate. Not your blessings, but your resilience. Not your success, but your survival. Because it reminds them of what they've refused to confront in their own lives. And here's the hard truth. When people can't figure you out, they will label you. When they can't control you, they will criticize you. When they feel small in your presence, they will try to shrink you. Not because they're inherently evil, but because they're spiritually insecure. They are operating from wounds that haven't healed. And your existence is a trigger for everything unresolved in them. This is why you can't take it personally. I know that's easier said than done. It hurts when people you love turn cold. It's confusing when you walk into a room and feel like an outsider in spaces you were invited into. But hear me, you are not crazy. You are not imagining the tension. You are not being paranoid. There really is something in you that disturbs what's broken in them. And you are not called to apologize for it. You must stop explaining your light to those who are committed to darkness. You must stop waiting for their validation, their understanding, their applause. Because you were never sent to be liked. You were sent to awaken. And awakening is a violent process, not with fists, but with truth, with presence, with divine identity. And those who have built their identity on lies will always resist the one who carries truth. You've seen it. In your workplace, where others get celebrated for mediocrity while your excellence is ignored. In your family, where your growth is mocked and your vision dismissed. In your friendships, where they cheer you on until your healing makes them feel left behind. That's not coincidence. That's spiritual reaction. They can't name it, but they feel it. And until they heal, they will choose to hate what they cannot handle. But you, my friend, were not called to lower yourself to fit their comfort. You were called to rise, even if that rise makes others uncomfortable. You were called to love, even when love isn't returned. You were called to stand, even when the ground beneath you feels like it's breaking. Because your presence has a purpose. Even your pain has a purpose. Every rejection, every closed door, every side eye and whispered word, it's all part of your training. Your preparation, your spiritual resistance training. Because divine authority must be forged through fire. And the hate you experience is proof you're walking in power. Let them talk. Let them distance themselves. Let them misjudge your motives. Because what they don't understand now, they will one day recognize. When your fruit begins to speak. When your legacy begins to rise. When the same ones who doubted you have no choice but to acknowledge the favor on your life. Not because you forced them to see it, but because you walked with integrity long enough that truth had the final word. And I know it's lonely. I know it feels unfair. But if you remember nothing else, remember this. The hate is not about you. It's about the weight you carry, the light you reflect, the clarity you hold, the calling you've accepted. You are a threat not because you hurt others, but because you are healing. You are shifting the atmosphere. And even when people don't know how to say it, they feel it. So let them feel it. Let your presence speak louder than your defense. Let your growth become your answer. Let your light be unapologetic. You were never called to be small. You were never called to make yourself easier to swallow. You were called to be bold, to carry fire, to walk in divine power that doesn't need permission to exist. They may never understand why they hate you, but that's not your burden to carry. Your only task is to continue, to rise, to shine, and to never, ever forget, they don't hate you. They hate the unexplainable power of who you are in the spirit. And that, my friend, is all the proof you need. There's something they never tell you when you begin to awaken to who you truly are. They don't mention the loneliness. They don't warn you about the silence. They don't prepare you for the deep ache that comes when you finally realize your calling comes with a cost. And one of the highest costs of spiritual rank is isolation. You see, the moment you begin to operate in your divine identity, not just talk about it, not just post about it, but live it, the separation begins. People who once felt close begin to drift. Conversations that once felt warm turn cold. The invitations stop. The support vanishes. The rooms you once felt safe in begin to suffocate you. And the question starts to rise in your chest. What did I do wrong? But I want you to hear me clearly. You didn't do anything wrong. In fact, the silence around you may be the loudest confirmation that you are doing exactly what you were called to do. Because the higher your spiritual rank, the narrower your path becomes. Not everyone can go with you. Not everyone can understand you. And not everyone is spiritually equipped to stand beside you. What you're feeling is the divine tension between elevation and attachment. God, the universe, whatever name you give to the eternal, begins to pull you into higher territory, not for punishment, but for preparation. And preparation almost always happens alone. Just like an eagle teaches its young to fly by pushing it out of the nest, the spiritual realm will often push you out of your comfort zones, not to destroy you, but to activate you. Some of you are in that wilderness right now. You're surrounded by people, but you feel completely alone. You smile in public, but you're battling unseen wars in private. You're growing, but it feels like everything around you is shrinking. That's not failure. That's formation. You are being refined. You are being tested. You are being spiritually conditioned to handle the weight of your next level. Because spiritual rank isn't just about visibility. It's about capacity. Can you handle the pressure? Can you remain faithful when no one claps? Can you hold on to truth when the world around you lies? Can you keep showing up when the spotlight disappears and the silence gets loud? These are the tests that make leaders. These are the fires that form warriors. And this is the warfare that no one claps for. The private battles, the emotional storms, the nights when you cry out to God and hear nothing in return. And yet, even in the silence, you're growing. Even in the rejection, you're advancing. Even in the warfare, you're being strengthened. Because isolation isn't a sign of abandonment, it's a sign of intimacy. God hides his strongest soldiers. He trains them in quiet places. He removes the noise so they can hear his voice more clearly. And yes, it hurts. Yes, it's lonely. But you are not being punished. You are being trusted. You are being hidden not because you're forgotten, but because you're important. You are being stripped not to embarrass you, but to build a foundation that no attack can destroy. The rejection you're facing is protection in disguise. The friendships that ended weren't failures, they were revelations. The people who walked away were never meant to stay for this chapter. They couldn't handle the weight of who you're becoming. And that's okay, because the truth is, warfare always surrounds destiny. The moment you begin to step into alignment with heaven, hell responds. Not with horns and fire, but with distraction, discouragement, disconnection. It tries to convince you that you're isolated because you're broken. But listen closely, you're isolated because you're chosen. Chosen people always walk a different path. Their steps are heavier, their lessons are deeper, and their process is longer. But their impact? Eternal. You are being prepared for things your enemies can't see. You're being trained for battles others will never fight. And while they're busy mocking your silence, God is busy molding your strength. While they're laughing at your isolation, heaven is writing your instructions. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the season you're in. Your life is not on their schedule. Your anointing is not up for their approval. You are being equipped, and the cost of that equipping is often invisibility for a time. But I promise you, the silence won't last forever. The isolation is not permanent. There will come a time when your preparation will meet your platform. When the things you suffered through in secret will become the source of your strength in public. When your testimony will carry power not because of how many heard you, but because of how deeply you were refined when no one saw you. Until then, keep standing. Keep believing. Keep enduring. You are not crazy. You are not abandoned. You are not unworthy. You are being called up. And those who are called up must first be called out. Out of comfort, out of shallow connections, out of the noise, and into the presence of the one who sees you fully. So don't despise the warfare. Don't curse the isolation. Let it make you stronger. Let it teach you to lean on truth instead of applause. Let it strip away every false identity and bring you back to the core of who you were before the world confused you. Let it make you whole. Because the next level of your spiritual rank will require a version of you that is unapologetic, unshakable, and completely rooted in who you are, not in what people say. You are not being broken down. You are being built. And when the time is right, The same God who hid you will be the one who reveals you. And when he does, the hate you endured, the silence you survived, the isolation you outlasted, it will all make sense. Because you were never losing, you were being launched. The cost is real. The warfare is real. The loneliness is real. But so is the glory that waits on the other side. Now we've come to the part many people never reach. Not because they aren't called, but because they give up too soon. They retreat. They shrink. They try to blend in. After the isolation, after the rejection, after the unexplainable warfare, something inside them grows tired of being misunderstood. And that's where the enemy wins, not by destroying them, but by convincing them to walk away from their own authority. But I'm here to tell you, this is the time to embrace your rank. Not hide it, not water it down, not apologize for it. Own it, liven it. Walk boldly in what heaven placed inside you before anyone ever formed an opinion about you. Because the world doesn't need another person trying to fit in. The world needs the version of you that has survived, healed, grown, and risen, even when no one clapped. This is your moment to reclaim your spiritual space. The hate you've endured? Let it sharpen you. The betrayal you've experienced? Let it refine you. The warfare you've faced? Let it prepare you. Because every trial was building something the world couldn't see. And now, it's your responsibility to walk in that authority without shame. You don't need their permission. You don't need their understanding. You don't even need their support. What you need is clarity, the kind that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. You've already been appointed. You've already been approved. You've already been trusted by God with the mantle you carry. That is more than enough. So let the world wonder why you're still standing. Let them be confused by your peace. Let them whisper about your strength. Let them wrestle with your presence. That's not your concern. Your concern is obedience. Your concern is alignment. Your concern is walking so deeply in purpose that hate becomes irrelevant. Distractions lose their grip, and fear can no longer anchor you. Too many people fall into the trap of trying to explain their light to the blind. You were not sent here to be understood by everyone. Some people were assigned to misunderstand you, just so you could learn to stop seeking approval from the wrong places. Every misjudgment was training. Every closed door was redirection. Every silent season was God saying, "Come deeper. I'm not done with you yet." And now that you've come this far, don't you dare turn back. Don't you dare pretend to be average just to make others feel comfortable. Don't you dare settle for smallness just because they can't handle your expansion. Because the truth is, their reaction to your spiritual rank is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to walk in it. You are the one who carries the oil. You are the one marked by fire. You are the one trusted with breakthrough. And that is not arrogance. That is awareness. When you know who you are in the spirit, the attacks don't stop, but your response changes. You stop shrinking. You stop explaining. You stop negotiating your worth with people who can't comprehend your calling. You weren't created to be palatable. You were created to be powerful. You weren't created to blend in. You were created to disrupt. You weren't created to win popularity contests. You were created to shift generations. And yes, that comes with resistance, but it also comes with reward. When you stand fully in your spiritual rank, things begin to move differently. You no longer chase doors. Doors begin to respond to your presence. You no longer beg for opportunities. Opportunities are drawn to the clarity of your identity. You no longer strive to be seen, because heaven has already revealed you to the right eyes. And most importantly, you no longer fear the hate, because you understand now that the hate was confirmation all along. You are dangerous to darkness. That's why they fought you. That's why they lied on you. That's why they tried to silence you. But they failed. You're still here, still rising, still carrying what they couldn't kill, still walking in what they tried to bury. Because spiritual rank doesn't fade. It doesn't get revoked by opinion. It doesn't get destroyed by attack. It lives. It breathes. It outlasts. And it always speaks, even in silence. So I challenge you today, stop hiding. Stop pretending you're less than what you are. Stop doubting the weight of what you carry. It's time to stand in your power. Not power given by man, but power ordained by God. Authority that comes from obedience. Confidence that comes from communion. And resilience that comes from walking through hell and never letting it steal your light. You've earned nothing, and yet, you've been entrusted with everything. That's grace. That's favor. That's divine design. So wear your crown. even if they roll their eyes. Speak your truth, even if they mock your voice. Love boldly, even if they hate you for it. Because your spiritual rank was never about them. It was always about your mission, your impact, your legacy, and the ones you're meant to awaken simply by being who you truly are. Remember, kings and queens are not chosen to please the people, they are chosen to lead, to guide, to shift the direction of nations. You are no different. You may not sit on a throne. You may not wear a robe. But in the spirit, you've been crowned. Heaven knows it. Hell knows it. And now, you must know it. Walk like it. Speak like it. Live like it. Because the hate wasn't random. The isolation wasn't accidental. The battles weren't meaningless. They were all signs. Signs of your spiritual rank. And now that you know, never go back to pretending you're ordinary. Because you never were.